This channel is for immature audiences only. It is not for children, only for childish adults. We might play some video games that kids also like, but we say words like fuck and shit with alarming frequency and make crude, inappropriate, and morbid jokes all the damn time. Level 0 NPCs assumes no responsibility if your idiot spawn watches this and gets traumatized.
It's the holiday season.
It is.
So whoopity-doo.
I can't believe you would subject our viewers to that, Matt.
Dimpity-dap.
I can, as someone who is blessed to have Matt in his life, you know, more than once a week. Matt's been singing that song for a while.
I figured it seems like something that had become a habit as I was listening to Matt do it. So
it's one of my least favorite holiday songs.
Your least favorite,
but also but also one of my favorites because it goes, it's the holiday season, so whoopity-doo.
It contains some truly minimal effort scatting.
Dimpity-dap, stickity stump.
Like plank constant, like the smallest measurable amount of scatting.
I don't like scatting anyway, but even like that little bit was worse than usual.
I think like maybe minimal effort scatting is the way to do it. Like maximum effort scatting. Like effort is not necessarily what you want to see, you know?
Because scatting is already like a low effort way to do a song because you're not actually doing words. But yeah, I get it.
You don't want to sound like you're scatting because you do care. You want to sound like you're scatting because you don't care.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, right? I think that's the key.
My holiday pet peeve when it comes to songs is when kids are singing inappropriate holiday songs. Like on the news, they have this toy drive that they do, and the kids were going to sing Santa Baby.
Okay.
I don't think that's right for kids to sing Santa Baby.
That's a little
agree.
off, yeah.
Not necessarily what. Well, yeah, subject matter wise, yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah. Oh, hey everybody! Welcome to Video Us.
Yeah, we're so pretty.
Hurry down the chimney tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Ooh.
Hurry down the chimney tonight.
I suppose you should count my lucky stars that has not been Matt's song for the last couple of weeks.
I love Michael Bublé's version where he just says Santa buddy.
Oh my goodness.
Hey buddy.
He just okay.
Leave a present under the tree for me. No homo. Santa buddy.
Just slap each other on the back.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. Welcome back to KRULLCEMBER, everybody.
It's all about like buying expensive gifts for a late, like sign the check on the line, Santa baby. You know, it's so like Tiffany. Like, why are kids talking about getting gifts from Tiffany? Anyway, I'm sorry.
It makes no sense.
Start
I mean,
again.
no,
we're with you.
No, gifts from Tiffany, then I mean, like, you know, good for them. But
You're right to be annoyed about it. That's weird and bad.
I'm not giving anyone less than 30 years old of age any kind of diamond jewelry, but like.
Well, you know, I do know at Tiffany's they do have like weird christening gifts and stuff. Like you can buy like silver rattles and stuff. So it happens, I guess. But it's weird to sing about it sexily as a child.
Sexily as a child.
It's a little weird to buy a silver rattle.
Yeah.
They have all that stuff over there at the Tiffany's. You know, have you been? They got all kinds of interesting stuff.
They didn't have that at the Tiffany's that I've been to, but fortunately. But
when I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do was to go into the woods behind my parents' house and build little houses for gnomes and fairies out of moss and sticks and rocks and stuff like that. And that didn't cost my parents shit. That's free. I mean, like, theoretically, that was like a subset of the mortgage that they paid, that the backyard had forest to it. But, you know, it wasn't even their forest. It was like government land.
Was there a chance you could have been shot on it?
A small chance. There was a higher chance we would have been shot in the place on Grand Manan. It was sort of, you know, lots of deer hunting going along. But.
Just in general, yeah. Sorry, Luke, you were about to welcome everyone.
I was going to say hello, everybody, and happy KRULLCEMBER. Merry upcoming Krullmas.
A very convivial KRULLCEMBER.
Okay, is Krullmas the same day as Christmas, or what? Is it a different day?
It's close enough to be celebratable in that same week.
All right.
Yeah, I think it would be
Saturday of December.
Yeah.
Sure. We've just named it.
I think the beauty of Krullmas is you celebrate it whenever you have time for it.
Yeah.
If you would prefer Krullmas to just eclipse Christmas entirely and evict Christmas from your life, yeah, sure. December 25th. Why not?
If you want, you can have them exist together, and then you can celebrate two holidays and say, who cares? That's what I think.
The beauty is the glaive is star-shaped, so it makes a great tree topper.
Oh man, I want a glaive tree topper, a glaive star on the top of my tree.
I don't decorate for any occasion, but I almost want a Christmas tree with a glaive topper just for my own edification.
Yeah, I would. I'd be all over that.
That's so fair. Yeah.
Well, so in order to make Krullmas a little bit more palatable for our co-host Julia, we've decided that we were going to take a look at the least palatable part of Krull, as far as we can tell, for Julia. In this case, being the Cyclops, Rell, one of the many characters of the movie, but probably the least visually pleasing of the characters, except maybe when the Oracle melts into a weird goo creature briefly.
The Beast is kind of hard to look at too, but he's supposed to be horrible, right? Like he's
awesome.
Literally designed to be as horrible as possible.
Oh God!
There he is.
You need to warn me. Oh, jeez. Oh,
you're so
when I put my arm, this is what's happening. I'm putting my hand in front of the.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
So we need to break down what you find so disturbing about Rell, so we know how to fix it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
first of all.
Okay. Yeah.
The skin color is horrible. It's like pinkish gray. It's horrible. It looks like. It looks like.
But he's so friendly.
Rotting and bloated. Like, it's not a good color for skin by any measure. The hair is disturbing too. It just doesn't work for the era. And also, who's styling this guy's hair? That's also really bad. I can't even look at I just can't. I can't. Like, why are there so many creases by his eyes? Are those still called crow's feet on either side of that? I don't even know how you get crow's feet like that, because there's supposed to be wrinkles, but there's no browed wrinkle. It doesn't work.
You made real jowly in that version there, Matt.
Well, he kind of is,
Yeah, he's a jowly fella.
Yeah.
Because a crow's eye happens on the opposite sides of when you're squinting, right? So when you have an eye,
it's your cheek muscles that give you
so
like your laugh lines there. It's these muscles here.
Yeah, where the
so he theoretically does still have those.
God.
It's also his giant stupid eyebrow.
Yeah, and
really,
yeah. It's really, it's just awful. There's nothing good here.
It's a forehead ridge too. It's not really an eyebrow. Like, that's one of the things. Actually, I didn't think of that when I was doing my passes here. But yeah, maybe an eyebrow would help. I'm not 100% sure. Actually, so leading up to the event today, I was doing a little bit of I was doing some exploratory Rell Photoshop surgery, thinking about where some of the challenges might be, right? So I'm going to show a couple of things that I worked on to Julia. We'll gauge some feelings, see how they go.
She's just like,
see, this already matches it's already more palatable because we don't have that corpse-like color of looking like, he's been dead face down for hours. That doesn't look like that already because we don't have the color.
That's such a great note, Julia. His skin tone is a little fucked, and I've never thought about it before.
But I never really thought about the brow. And the way the brow kind of goes around like this, that's a bad shape for it. And I hate it. But also, you have made him look kinder. here. I mean, you've given the eye a bit of expression. I think part of the reason the eye is so disturbing is because it is like a dead looking eye, and
It's painted, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the deep, extensive crow's feet on either side. It's just really bad. I guess his nose isn't too bad. I guess.
Well, that's the thing. I have a whole thing I need to talk about the nose, but let's take a look at
Yes,
Luke's
please.
first.
Okay. So, right off the bat, I was like, I promised I was going to try this to see if this helped. This is sort of like the maximum in the opposite direction from traditional Rell, which is Krell Evans.
We're done.
Ooh.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
All you have to do is tweak the lore slightly so that his species originally had 3 eyes and went down to 2.
Yeah.
Done.
Perfect. And now
couldn't call him a Cyclops, but
I was looking at this,
He's more
and
of a
thinking
Biclops.
it might be a little bit too far. He's a little too young, maybe, for the Rell character. So I thought, well, okay, Chris Evans, maybe not the perfect choice. So how about a little more Liam Neeson? You get two Liams for the price of one. We've got, modern day aged Liam Neeson. And back in the original filming of Krull, Liam Neeson, lesser
young and hot
known
Liam Neeson
version of him.
I like that in
Old
this
and hot.
timeline they've used technology to age up Liam Neeson so he could be both people. That's quite good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say one thing based on these 2 images.
Yeah.
That hair does no favors for anyone.
No, it's
Real
not a
bad.
great. There's this old newspaper comic called, I think it was like Prince Charming, or basically, yeah, like the main Prince character had this really shitty mop of hair just like this, and I'm wondering if that's just an artifact of like the early 1980s thing that they were doing, but.
Well, I feel like this haircut is almost intentionally scary because you think of No Country for Old Men and Anton Chigurh's hair.
Well, Anton Chigurh's
Yeah.
hair is it's a lot straighter, I think, than this was, or was it
but
as wavy?
like same kind of style where it's just bad and all long, and then it's got kind of this stupid long bang in the front of it, and it is horrifying. Like no one can do it. No one can pull this off.
Yeah.
The hair's real bad.
Yeah, no, the hair is real bad. I didn't really make any attempts at the hair, although I can maybe do a little showcase of additional Photoshop images that I'll do, because we did talk about, I think, one of our viewers actually, I think it was, I can't remember who, it was a while back, but they did a couple of hair treatments to Krull. We'll find those, we'll add those up, but they had
those
like
were good.
the Macklemore and
I
something else. I don't remember what, but
Yeah, the horrible gulf between a fantastical Cyclops and this haircut is another part that really does make this extra disturbing. I almost feel like if Rell was bald, then he would just look like a monster to me, and then I'd be fine with it. Like not fine, but better with it than the fact that he's got this monkey's haircut.
Their attempts to humanize him are perhaps going in the wrong
agree.
direction there.
I agree.
Like they just made
I
him like
actually
bright
think-
green or something.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
That he's
the-
clearly a monster.
The big issue with Rell is that he's too close to human to feel comfortable to look at when he's like this.
Yeah.
So true.
so I suppose
So true.
I thought, like the eye, it's about the size of one metric human eye. So maybe the size, it could have been a problem.
Oh,
But
God.
before we went there, I was like, okay, is it really the single eye? Right?
Ooh. Good God, Luke.
So I took
He's very Sloth from the Goonies now.
a little bit.
I hate
might
that.
need to bump the right side eye up a little bit, but does this make it better or worse for you, Julia? Just as a question.
Optometrist rules. Better or worse?
Yeah.
Then the what?
A or B?
Yeah. Is this better than one eye, Rell, or is this like? Because I mean, this is also putting a very large emphasis on that eyebrow ridge, or that eye ridge where the brow should be.
I think it might be better.
It is
I
better.
think it might be less disturbing.
It is less disturbing. And you know what's weird? making him a Biclops like this with the same kind of Rell style really does go to show that the eye is just horrible, right? The shape of the eye
is just
really
generally
awful.
not nice. Yeah, it's true.
But I do agree with Alex. I think this is an improvement. Like, it's a mild improvement, but it is an improvement. It's still really hard to look at.
Okay. So we've got original Rell, we've got two-eyed Rell. Now, what about original Rell, but less eye?
He is way scarier.
Eye.
Way scarier.
Do you know what? He's scarier, but the little rudimentary eye, again, maybe less disturbing in a way.
Yeah.
Because it takes him just that step farther from being human.
Yeah, it looks...
I see it.
Yeah, like, okay, my initial was that it's worse, but as I continue to look at it, it does feel better.
Yeah.
So one of my, and I think Matt's going to get on this later, one of my key sort of objections to most treatments of the Cyclops is the nose. So your nose goes up between your eyes, and it's not truncated. Rell's nose is cut off by his eye. And in this case, his eye is small enough that the socket could be in the bony bridge of the nose.
It's true.
And so there's less anatomical horror. The other bit is that on your eyebrows are formed by sort of the musculature above your eye socket. And if you only have one eye, there's no... The bridge of that nose, the spot between your eyes, is really important for the way that your face is shaped. But this tiny little eye can sort of fit in there with a broad, like... what do you call the bridge of your nose, the top of it there, with like the broader bony part of your nose? You could imagine an eye socket being in there. Yeah.
Okay, great. So now let's look in the opposite direction. So small eye.
Oh, bigger.
Yeah, big eye. This is like anime size. Krull eye.
You know what?
Here,
I actually like that. I don't know why. I think that works.
One thing that works for me for Cyclops is just moving the eye up. Just move it out of the way, get it out of the equation. You know, you got plenty of room for a nose, stuff like that. Like either get rid of the nose or slap that eye like up high like a frog on the head. Now that's what we're seeing here is upsetting, but somehow maybe less.
I agree. I also agree. It's so weird. It's so weird that they just hit that sweet spot of the worst. This is not bad. This is not bad.
It justifies the hair. It gets rid of the eye ridge brow thing. Yeah.
Well, the eye ridge becomes like the upper eyelid, basically.
Yes. I think that really helps.
It serves an anatomical purpose now.
Yeah.
It looks CG too, which I think we're all strangely more used to.
In the modern era, you could do this
in
with
the modern
a prosthetic,
era.
though. With
it is impossible that this version of Rell has a brain.
Yeah.
Trace the sphere of that eye. There's no room for a brain in there. Maybe a rudimentary one plastered to the back of his skull.
Yeah, it's a flat brain.
Or the lobes are in the back, and...
the brain is in the eyeball.
Yeah, well, or the lobes are like up against the eye. There's like no ocular stalk attaching them per se, and it's just like, they're like nestled in the crevasse between the two or something like that, Maybe a little less space in the lower part of the brain. I don't remember what sort of is controlled in those areas, but he's a Cyclops. Who knows?
It'd be hard to house the musculature for the rotation of the eye and a brain in that skull. But, life finds a way.
Might not need to rotate your eyes around a lot if your eye's this big.
That
honestly.
big, yeah.
We just need to give him some extra neck vertebrae like an owl so he can rotate his neck all the way around. Owls can't pivot their eyes, and maybe neither can Cyclopses.
This one, I feel like between this one and the one that's smaller than usual, the one that's smaller than usual makes him look evil. And the one, that makes him look evil. But this one, like, he looks kind of nice. He kind of could be a nicer guy, I think, because he's got a big doe eye there. It is an anime eye.
These are so good, Luke. I now feel embarrassed about my own KRULLCEMBER offerings.
No, you've done fantastic. I all I had to do was just a little bit of Photoshop. You're actually putting pen to paper here. I respect that and could not possibly have done that, especially to the degree of stupidity that I've put through this. And speaking of
These
which,
are good ideas. This is a good scientific breakdown of the problem.
This is the perfect starting point. I love this.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Now, we've taken it to anime proportions, but what about the super extreme for the eye?
This is lovely.
The main thing is if you've ever gotten hair in your eye.
Yeah.
You know? He looks friendlier somehow than having just an eyeball for a head. And now definitely the brain is there somewhere in the eye itself. Or he's got some sort of hind brain, like that myth about dinosaurs. But
He looks thoughtful and kind.
It's just the hair plastered to the moist eye surface. I guess you'd get used to it, but it is... I have some sympathy horror for the hair in his head eye all the time.
Yeah. No, probably. And so the final thought that I had, and this is, I believe is the last one that I've done, was thinking maybe the problem with Rell is not necessarily that he's a Cyclops. Maybe the problem with Rell is that he's a little too exceptional, right? Like maybe there just aren't enough Cyclopses in Krull.
No.
So I made everyone a Cyclops.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Look at Ergo. Ergo's pulling it off weirdly more than the others.
He really is.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably the most forward-facing character in it. It was hard to get the bandit leader because he's got this weird sort of scar on his cheek there, and it didn't. The clone tool didn't like it very much when I was filling in the sort of position where the eyes were. But Ergo makes for a surprisingly good.
Yeah, he's
Cyclops.
a better Cyclops than Rell.
Yeah, he is.
And he's also
The hair's an improvement. The face shape's an improvement.
It's also a positive argument for having an eyebrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Rell's cheekbones are the way they are because there's a human actor underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your cheekbones are formed by the orbits of your eyes, and his cheekbones are not. He just has these unrelated, like, you can even see there's the soft wrinkles of Rell's eye going past his cheekbones, but that's not where the orbit of his eye is. The orbit of his eye is way in there. Anyway, Ergo doesn't really have that problem. You've sort of smoothed over his cheekbones there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I brought to the table today.
This is lovely. Thank you, Luke. This is incredible.
Luke, that all across the board. You really gave us a great start. Like, wow. I don't know.
Some powerful food for thought right
Powerful.
there. I really love the concept of, like, again, the optometry test. Let's go through these images, better or worse, A or B. Like, there's a real honesty to, like, let's just try it and see.
Yeah, and it really goes to show how horrible that they actually ended up doing in the movie, because everything that Luke presented to us was better.
I personally was not so sure that this was a lot better. The teensy tiny eye.
It's a tiny bit better as a tiny eye, but
It's a little.
better.
There are reasons
In being
it's better,
worse.
I guess.
In being worse, it is better.
I actually agree. I think this is it's selling Rell as a different kind of character that way, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I actually think it actually sells Ergo's reaction more.
Yeah.
If that's what he ran into, that's terrifying.
I feel like,
like
if like Rell had been moving almost at all, that whole reaction would have made more sense, honestly. But here we are. So yeah, Alex, would you like to also present your Rells. I've got them.
Oh,
here,
yeah.
actually, or at least the two that you posted.
That might be more streamlined than me figuring out how to share a screen.
Yeah.
So this was my first Cyclops, which is an unapologetic nod to the handsome Squidward me. But then I remembered that one of the main criticisms of Rell, an apt, valid criticism of Rell, is his hair. So I didn't want to just make him bald. So I sort of gave him a Henry Cavill Superman haircut.
It's a brilliant choice. You know, I think it works. I like how his eyes are just like where his eyes should be if he was a Biclops, or just like no.
Yeah, they're just shadowed out.
No, they're not there. What you want to look at is this on the forehead.
Well, what I liked is that, you know, in the lore, Rell is an alien. We don't talk enough about that, but Rell's not from Krull. Rell's a species from another planet that was already conquered by the beast, and they originally had 2 eyes, and now they have 1. And so I was thinking, what if that third eye not where either of the first 2 was?
Yeah,
I mean that makes total sense.
That makes total sense.
They didn't really like they certainly put alien stuff, or their mentions of things being alien in Krull, but I don't think they lean nearly enough into it. Like, the beast was from another planet. Like, Colwyn and Lyssa's child is destined to rule the universe. But there's very little stuff that happens. I mean, because the world of Krull is called Krull, and henceforth the movie being named Krull also kind of forces them to stick to one planet. But, like, they brought the Beast and all of the Slayers from outer space. Fucking Rell is from space. Although,
there's I think we discussed this in a previous Krullvember or Krulltober or whatever.
Tember, I think, actually called Tember.
Krulltember.
Yeah.
The people of Krull, the Krullan people, have a sort of awareness that they are one celestial body among many, in a way that sort of medieval Earthlings didn't speculate about, right? Like, we knew the Earth as the Earth, just, you know, the ground under our feet kind of thing. Whereas Krullans seem to appreciate, unless Krull is the Krullan word for Earth, in which case why is every other word translated and not that one? Like, they seem to appreciate that they're one species among many. And so when the Elder says that Rell is from another planet, they're like, oh yeah, cool, makes sense. I guess he would be.
Yeah, that makes me think that they've had, you know, previous contact or artifacts. And I guess in a society where you have to, you know, hold fire in order to get married, maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's a normal thing.
The Krullan people seem more comfortable with magic than they are with technology. So it's like horses and swords and pyromancy. Those are sort of the main, you know, go-to. The Glaive also appears to be an alien artifact, though. That seems to have come from space rather than being something that the Krullan people made for themselves.
I agree.
Ultimately, the people of Krull were kind of fucked if there wasn't a whole lot of extra space stuff going on, basically, when the beast arrived.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, this is great. Love him. Very handsome. What do you think, Julia?
Yeah, this is kind of fun. Like, the one little big eyeball popping out, and I can just imagine it being animated and kind of, yeah, it's very expressive. It's less disturbing, again, than the original for sure. Because of what we have here is a thoroughly human-looking face, and then you've got the boop thing in the... That's great. Yeah.
Now, it should be clarified. It's not disturbing.
No.
Like, it's pretty...
No, it is. Yeah.
No, it is.
No, it is.
Yeah. It's not the least upsetting thing that I've drawn. And even as I was drawing it, every detail I added, it was like, oh yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's the shit. Let's stick with that.
Because it kind of brings into question a bunch of things in terms of, did he once have eyes in those sockets? What happened? And, there's a whole bunch of questions to ask about it, really. But the fact that there's a recognizable human face that's not breaking any weird laws of anatomy is really helps me to feel good about this one,
Excellent.
And his hair is spectacular. It is.
It says something that even this is less disturbing than the original Rell.
Literally everything has been. Yes. We should try. I don't know if it's even possible to make something more disturbing than what they did. We could try that sometime and see what we come up with. But I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible.
I don't know.
They did it
More
already.
disturbing?
You've got some pretty dyed in the wool monster makers among.
I honestly don't think you could do it. No, honestly, unless you made him bald and you made his head more penis shaped, that could be bad. But
I
it's just
actually
really
think
funny.
you might be right. I think bald Rell would be more palatable to you.
Yeah,
I really do.
I do think so. Yeah.
I had some ideas that might be worse that I didn't get a chance to finish executing. If I find the time, I'll see if I can wrap those up to see just empirically if the Rell that we have is the worst possible one.
I honestly think he is. I honestly do.
Well, we can have
now I have to try.
a Rell glow down, maybe outside of KRULLCEMBER.
Glow down.
A glow down, yeah.
A dim up.
A dim up. There you go. Or dim down. Shadow down.
Okay. You got another one for us there, Alex?
Just the one.
Yes. Yeah.
This is our trusty robot pal R3LL.
This is the best one, I think. Honestly, I feel the most warm feelings, and it's kind of weird that it's like a droid, basically. But he is the nicest looking one. He looks super friendly. I can already see a lot of personality here. I love that he's a robot, but he has a scarf. What's not to love?
You know he's a friendly robot because he's wearing people clothes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He has a scarf because I noticed Rell is also wearing a scarf. And I assume the scarf is there much like, both to hide the seam of the rubber mask and to humanize him a bit.
I thought it was more of a neckerchief, but yes, fair enough.
Yeah, certainly this guy's wearing more of a big old Tom Baker scarf.
Yeah.
This makes
It's
me
very
wish he
charming, though.
was.
I like this.
Yeah, I really wish he was a robot, because that's another thing they're missing in terms of comparing this to Star Wars, which they've already done. We want some, we would love to have a droid or something. It'd be really cute.
I was thinking about that. There is a conspicuous absence of robots in Krull, even to the point where when they had 10 days to make the Slayers, they didn't choose to make them robots. Not that robots are necessarily cheaper than, suits of armor, but the Slayers are not robots. They're sort of like insectoid carapace monster things. The Beast's palace is not a spaceship. The one sort of glimpse of technology that Krull has to make it sort of sci-fi is the lasers. But there is a conspicuous lack of robots. So in making Rell a robot, I am kind of like rewriting canon there a bit. Because there's for sure no robots and deliberately no robots in Krull. I tried to evoke his trident with his nasty robot pincers.
I noticed that. That's good design.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like the contrast between his really friendly looking little robot face and then the vicious pincers. I think that's a nice little tension there that would be really interesting to explore in the movie.
His face, he has the face of basically a Tupperware container.
He's great.
He's great.
So we're doing Tupperware. And also, he's curiously anxious looking.
Yeah, he is.
He's much more worried and harassed than the calm and stoic Rell of the movie.
Which does humanizes him. I relate to him.
How big would he be, do you think?
I imagined him filling the same looming role because he's got to hold the door open and get smashed into tinfoil by the doorway to the Beast's thing.
That's weirdly less tragic. I find.
So sort of like K2SO proportions,
Yeah.
I feel that it's still tragic because he's a sentient being still, and he's sacrificing himself and for his,
I think,
more human counterparts.
I think that charming robots getting smashed in many ways feels more tragic to the movie-going audience than, a guy in a rubber mask, typically.
Maybe.
The death of K2SO, for example, or when Johnny Five gets all smashed up by those kids with bats in Short Circuit 2,
that's the thing, right? Like, half the time a robot gets smashed up, they're fine. They're fine. Half the time. That's what I'm saying. I think that's what I mean, is that I think, there's a good bet that if you see a robot smashed, if you've seen enough movies, in the back of your head, you're going, he's probably okay. He's probably okay.
They actually would have had the opportunity to cheapen Rell's death by having the robot just get fixed in the end.
That's what I'm saying.
They'd have the option. They wouldn't have to do that, but they'd have the option to do that. It wouldn't make sense with him just completely flattened like a soda can, like it makes less sense that they would fix him, but they could justify it.
Yeah.
Well, I think all of the tertiary Krull content still seems to insist on including Rell, like the Krullering book and so on, which very much feels like a post-Beast kind of episode. So I bet if there was also a Krull animated series, it would either somehow fit in the middle of everything that was happening in the Krull movie, or would have to be post-Beast. And I feel like it would they would want it to be, because the Beast, I bet, would be kind of a nightmare to animate.
K2L would Back to Earth, I think, is where we're going with that, right? Like, if we're going to bring that back.
The one where they're in, like, 1980s New York the whole time.
Yeah. Because they ended up in a field, in some farmer's field in the United States when the castle got destroyed because it shifted. And you get a bunch of government agents back to Earth, it'll be called, even though they never were there. They were never there.
I definitely want the shot of Colwyn, because Colwyn definitely has to have the glaive for some reason, even though he lost it in the first one. And I want a shot of him like throwing the glaive, and then just concentrating while the glaive is like blowing up helicopters.
That's good. And Rell survived, of course.
Yeah. We got to get Rell and the glaive. Rell shows up with the glaive because magic. So there's some, so the Cyclops Saint Peter meets him at the pearly gates.
Oh yeah, that's getting too bad.
He gets intercepted on his way to Cyclops heaven.
All right. Well, that's pretty great, Alex.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm a fan. I've done some stuff.
Yes.
Just a little bit.
You've been working on this while we've been doing the episode, so okay.
Yeah. I want to show you. I just want to show you this guy first. Alec or Luke, can you switch to me?
Oh yeah, no, you're on screen.
Yeah, I'm putting my thing on screen. What do you think?
I'll ask you to send these to me also, so I can get them full screen on.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But if you are, for those of you in the chat, can you close we can only see Alex's big one right now.
Oh sure, yeah. I'll just close that.
Boom. So did I make him worse?
He looks like he's got like the mumps or something.
I was going for worse.
Yeah, this could be. I think you've done it actually. After all that talk about not making it worse, I think you made it worse.
I made his cheekbones, his bulbous area, just a little more bulbous. I made his eyebrow
noticed.
thicker.
Look at that ridge you got there going. Oh my
He's a little more thick with 2 C's.
His eyebrow looks like an upper lip.
It does.
It's horrible.
It is.
It's horrible.
It is truly horrible. It's ghastly. Congratulations.
So,
And
like, Rell's cheekbones, in his original concept, can be kind of justified by the fact that they used to have 2 eyes, allegedly.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, there's just kind of the gap, and then, like, the wrinkly skin is filling that gap, and it's all very gross. The width that you've added here makes him seem like he originally had 3 eyes.
Yeah. I also really, like, paled up his one eye. Made it real gross.
Well,
Made it real.
This is the second time that they've made a trade for an eye. See,
Oh, yeah.
they
it
wanted to
just
be able to
keeps
see
happening.
the future, but that was actually the second time. So they lost. They were down to 2, and now they're down to 1. But
So, yeah, there's OG Rell. He looks much better after that guy, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Ooh.
oh, that's like Star Trek alien Rell.
I wanted to make him a little more Star Trek alien.
I
just did this
that.
while we were talking.
Comparatively.
That's a much better nose for a Cyclops.
Yeah. Yep.
He's still not great, though.
No.
He's still not great.
No.
Mm-mm.
That's a very, like, not only is that a very palatable Cyclops, I think that would have been achievable with prosthetics as well.
Yeah. So let's get down to the science. In a Cyclops, like you said, Alex, you're gonna have this problem right here. You're gonna have the nasal bone coming out under the eye, which makes no biological sense. There's a way to do it, but I don't like it. Let's see.
1 eye, 2 noses.
You could do 2 noses. I don't know if that's gonna work.
1
But
nostril
again,
each.
like
Great
I don't.
pitch, Luke.
Yeah, that's kind of where I would go. Right, I would go
1 nostril?
1 nostril. Right.
With no nose?
No, two nostrils is what I would do. I would sort of create like little nostrils on either side there, right? And
Ooh.
he'll still, but I don't know if that solves the problem entirely. You know what I mean?
Your Cyclops skull there that you drew is a sort of very compelling breakdown of how one would have a like the bridge of that nose has to be interrupted somehow by the eye, so like tilting that way back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not a good solution. So yeah. Why don't we talk about Rell for a little bit, and I will I'll do some digital sculpting and see what I hi.
It was sassy.
Look at that guy. Why don't I'll do some digital sculpting and we'll see what we can come up with. You got a little head here,
Yeah.
all right? I'll do this in the background while you guys do your thing. Just to prove that I'm actually doing it. I mean, I know you know. Of course, you believe me, right?
Yeah, totally.
See, same thing. All right.
Nice.
All right.
The Cyclops in premise, there's not a lot of good ways to go about making one. The pitch of a Cyclops is something that is essentially human, but with 1 eye instead of 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of like good ways to make that happen and have the viewer feel okay about that. Cyclopses occur in nature. In humans, there's a birth defect that will do it. Such an infant rarely lives to see its first day, is the thing. I do not recommend looking up this particular birth abnormality because it is one of those things that you cannot unsee. There's, like, I'm about the same age as the internet. I've seen some pretty bad things on there. If there's one thing I wish I could go back to not knowing about, it's actual human Cyclopses, because it is it's not great. At any rate,
I've
so
seen
that
a
you
lot
don't
of,
have to look it up,
I've
they
seen
have
a lot
little
of cat
tube of a nose.
Cyclopses.
Have you?
I've seen kitten Cyclopses a lot. Yeah.
I don't know if
Again,
I've seen
they don't
those.
live. They don't live long, either. But
Oh no, I do. I have seen that. I
Yeah.
have seen that, and now I am remembering it.
it's quite sad. But you know,
It's not. On the rare occasions when unfortunately it does occur in human beings, they tend to have a little tube of a nose, a little rudimentary nose that's not fully formed under the singular eye.
yeah. So it is a little, but it's one. Is it a one tube, like a single nostril?
Yes, it's kind of a singular nostril that's kind of like cartilaginous, I guess.
So it really does seem like what you're dealing with then is you're dealing with some sort of like bilateral symmetry error. You
Yep.
know?
It's my understanding that is the issue, and it begins in not necessarily begins, but extends to the brain. The organism
it's
that
not
is meant to be
bilobed.
symmetrical is yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how I feel about a one nostril, though. I think we could do better. I think we can do two nostrils. I think that's important.
I think any sort of compassionate designer of monsters
Yeah.
would probably want to distance themselves from nature in this one case.
But I think, I think we want to deal with two nostrils here. Am I right? Like,
Yeah.
how do we feel about that?
I'd be inclined to agree. I don't know that there's any singular central mononostril that's going to do the trick.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, technically what function does the bridge and tip of the nose serve? Is that just to create a tent for your nostrils, like to keep them open so that like airflow works better through them, and leads sort of back to the sinuses, or
Well, I know that I've heard about the different physiological differences of noses, and how they say, people who live in colder climates will have like longer extended noses. The idea being that it's going to help like warm the air or something. I don't know if that any of that holds water. And like people who live in warmer climates who have like flatter noses, they don't need that same type of, as you say, that specialized tent for air. But I really don't know how much, again, water that actual
true it
theory is
is, yeah.
holding. Yeah.
I have a speculative answer to why our noses are the way they are. And it's probably something that I've mentioned before, but humans are the pugs of apes. If you look at a pug skull, which I highly recommend, pug skulls, like if I were a wizard, I'd want a little talking pug skull as my familiar. They're like as adorable as they are in life, and tragic. But pug skulls look curiously human, and for the same reasons that our skulls look curiously humans, in that the shape of our skull is a neotenous characteristic. Humans are just long fetuses. And part of the reason is sort of brain matter became evolutionarily quite important for us, and pattern recognition and stuff like that, which meant to select for brain size, you have to select for prematurity of birth. You got to be born as premature as possible, as early as you can be born and survive birth. Because if you're born any later or more completely formed, it's impossible for the mother or the child to survive. And human childbirth is dicey as it is. As a result, we maintain neotenous or juvenile characteristics. And so there's so many things about our sort of sinuses and facial anatomy that are not ideal. So in most species, or at least a great deal of mammalian species on the planet, sight is not the primary sense in the way that it is for us. Sight is secondary or tertiary after smelling and hearing. but we have this smashed up, squashed skull with like a fucked up compressed sinus. If you are a creature like a cat or a dog, you have a much longer skull, and that protective ridge, the bony portion of your nose, is protecting a much more significant part of your sensory anatomy. Even the shape of a cat or a dog's brain has more dedicated to the olfactory sense than ours do. So there's a sense to which our nose, while not vestigial, scent is still an important sense for us. We're much more reliant on our eyesight and stuff like that. So I think that bony protuberance is in some ways a holdover from when it was much longer and more important part of our anatomy.
Yeah. Okay.
But the things that the primates that we were descended from didn't have like big long noses, did they?
They more or less do.
they?
If you look at a chimpanzee or an ape, the whole front part of
Okay.
it, and even if you look at like proto-humans, they'll have a much smaller sort of cranium and a much bigger sort of mandible and snout.
Okay, so not like just like a big long nose like this, but the whole front part is bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm going for here, right? Like a wider set nostrils, but still important. Especially if one does not have depth perception.
Sure.
One is going to have
Hard to imagine how a creature could survive like that.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I actually. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say. Please, Matt, go.
Oh, I actually designed a Cyclops professionally years ago for a game that never came out, and I thought I drew one earlier today. Let me see if I can find it. Nope. Gone. But I did a version of a Cyclops that had I'll just draw it. He was like, oh my god, give me a layer. He was like this, and they were supposed to be a race. They were a northern dwelling race, and they had the nostrils like that and the mouth, and they were all bald. They had some hair, but they were like mostly bald on the sides. And I gave them to sort of compensate for the fact that they have no depth perception. I would give them these organs that would come off the body like this, and they would be like extrasensory organs, and they would be protected with these like chitinous protective like bony shells that would sit on the edge of the face, and they would telescope wherever it would move its head. They would like stretch and stuff, but they would be like these really cool things, and it really added to the silhouette of the face and made it a little more fun to look at than that. I'll see if I can find one, and Luke can put it up.
Yep, if we have it, there you go.
We'll do it.
Yeah, actually, that very much is the point that I was going to make is I wonder if like something that evolved to be a Cyclops and not also an evolutionary dead end would also evolve some kind of higher perception via like hearing or something like that. If they would have big old elephant ears or some other organ, sort of like what Matt was describing, that's just there because, they would have the worst possible depth perception.
They could be some kind of like echolocation or something. Like some people who have a hard sight, they can't see very well. They actually can do that. People have taught themselves how to do it. So it could be that he could do that kind of same sound thing to help him guide distance and stuff.
There's a great bit in Douglas Adams's book, Last Chance to See, where he's talking about a rhinoceros because they're, as the title implies, they're going around to see various species that won't exist in the future. So they're taking their last chance to go see them. And this subspecies of rhino that later went extinct, they're observing one from a distance. And they're getting like fairly close. And Douglas Adams is asking the person taking them to see the rhinos why that is safe. And the guy basically explains that if a rhino sees you, it will react like a human that smells something. In that, if you smell something, you will look around to see what the source of the smell is. So when a rhino sees something, it smells. And if it doesn't smell anything, its conclusion is, I guess that must be nothing. This thing that I'm seeing, this person standing there, this bipedal like predator, I guess that's nothing because I don't smell shit. And so like a creature that had some sort of more rudimentary form of vision, it would kind of follow that its other senses might be heightened because it never evolved depth perception or abandoned it for whatever reason, because sight is just kind of a supplementary sense for, hearing and smell and, smishing.
Luke, I completely forgot to record the screen on here. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to deal with this. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It is being recorded at the very least. We're just not going to get the big version then.
Here's a question I have with in terms of having something be symmetrical like this, and looking at what Matt's doing, tear ducts. Are there two tear ducts on both sides? Or is there one? Because with our tear ducts, we have it on one side because the idea is to like wash across the surface of the eye outward. Mm-hmm. So does this guy have two, and then it kind of comes down the front, or what's happening?
That's such a good question.
They'd be there and there.
Oh, okay, up the top. Up the top, and then it just kind of flows out the edges then. So okay, so from the top he has kind of tier things.
You came here for dumb Photoshop, you get proper fucking Cyclops.
He cries out of both ends like this.
Yeah, so tears on either side of the eye is such a great justification for the two nostrils. Mm-hmm. Because the reason your nose runs when you cry is that there's an internal connection there. You have these symmetrical channels through your sinuses. If you had a Cyclops with two nostrils, one reason there might be two nostrils is because there are two tear ducts, one to either side. That's a decent anatomical justification for that.
But in Matt's case, it's like they're nightmarishly in the upper eyelid. We do have we do have a system of lubrication that goes across the eyelid that people tend not to know about, but they can get blocked. And sometimes they get blocked, and then people get like a big sty kind of thing in their eye that gets swollen and painful. You then have to use like hot compresses and all these things to try to re-lubricate those things, because we actually have two different kinds of tears. There's like an oily type of tear and then like a watery type. And what can happen is if you have like really dry eyes, and you might have blockages. If you flip open your eyelid like this, you will see like white ducts that are actually going to be kind of lubricating your eye. So this would make sense if in this case the tears are coming down straight and then leaking out both sides.
Wow.
The vertical channels in my eyelids don't do shit at all. I get terrible swellings in my eyelids, and I was getting them over and over.
Yeah.
And eventually I saw a doctor, and he said that there was no broader problem other than that the ducts in my eyes just sucked. They didn't really do anything. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. They serve no purpose other than to be blocked. So I have to sort of put hot compresses on my eyes every night, or I get big old Quasimodo eyes.
Right. Do you have dry eyes then as well?
They're fairly dry. Yeah. An interesting solution, the two tear ducts made me think, to the bridge of the nose problem is if you had two nostrils and they padded themselves to either side.
That's kind of what I was where I was going with two noses, one eye. I mean, they could converge in the center.
You were being puckish, but I think that is actually a good solution to the problem.
Yeah.
It's not like we have one big ass ear in the middle of our heads. We've got sort of two. You could just, separate out the two nostrils accordingly. One center loaded eyeball, and then a nostril to either side of that factors into the two tear ducts on either side of the eye. And then the ears to the side, and there's all your parts.
This is incredible, by the way, Matt. I've never seen anyone do live 3D sculpting like this, and it's incredible.
This guy's
Oh,
definitely.
thank you.
Yeah, he's definitely come into shape.
This is a program called ZBrush for anybody curious. It just came out on the iPad in the fall, but I've been using it for years on the PC. I adore it, and it's a lot of fun. Digital sculpting is my bag. I love it.
ZBrush
And
is
thank
one
you.
of those PC art programs that every 3D artist gets very familiar with, unless they're like a Mudbox guy.
Yeah,
And even
it's even then it's like ZBrush is sort of industry standard, although that's
It's changing.
that's
over time.
changing. But it's great on the iPad. Great.
A question that I always have about Cyclopses, and Matt's sort of doing it here, where you're giving him a sort of a fleshy central eyebrow, to make him sort of more expressive.
I would do that.
And
I'm
I
doing that narratively. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I understand that from like because he all of a sudden now he's capable of facial expression in a way that he wasn't before.
Mm-hmm.
My question always with a Cyclops is, how is that flap articulated? Like, where is its musculature located? Where is it anchored such that it can move up and down like that? Because for us, for our eyebrows, it's sort of here in the middle and up here on the skull. Sort of like you've got sort of key points like right here at the bridge of your nose. But for him, it's just his eye down there. So it could work kind of like your lips do. But your lips, like if there's like a ridge up on the forehead that whole flap is anchored to, in the same way that your upper lip is anchored, in little indentations that you can see on a skull under the cheeks.
In which case, he would have probably some wrinkles here, right? Like a lip. Which I think makes a lot of sense, because you would need a brow to be able to shift like that, not just for expression, but like for the purpose of a brow, which is to keep, sweat out of your eyes.
He kind of... I think he also might need some kind of bony protuberance above his eye on his forehead, as a point of, because we have this big smooth forehead where you can just feel the skin like moving over just the skull itself there.
Yeah.
But in his case, he has to anchor the muscles on that somewhere, and it can't be down here on the eye socket. So it's kind of got to be somewhere on his forehead where that's anchored.
Yeah. And it can't have no flesh. So maybe he's maybe it's more subtle than all that, but I think maybe it's
A forward cranial ridge.
Yeah. Some kind of ridge or something like that would justify it being there. Maybe that's why sometimes Cyclopses are depicted as having a single horn. Just because nature's like, yeah, fuck it. Might as well throw a horn on there.
Might as well.
Let's
could
try to
also
make
do-
a scientifically viable Cyclops here.
I don't know if this is better than Rell, though.
This is better than Rell.
You could theoretically have two protuberances to either side. Because again, I think a lot of your lip muscles are up here under the cheekbones.
Sort of like little double horns.
Where they're sort of anchored on.
That looks pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Kind of gives him
It's
like
a good central ridge.
dinosaur bony ridge going along the center.
Little bit
Great.
Klingon.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I like that. Here, let me give me some stuff on his eye.
Did anyone else get an instant of body horror when Matt put an indentation in what just for a second you thought was the side of the eye?
Yeah, just a brief moment of discomfort. Yeah.
I just didn't realize the eye was looking at me, so I thought he was looking straight ahead, and then the indentation on the side of the eye, and instantly I was like, "Ooh, yuck!" But now I see that it is.
Oh, look at his little face.
Yeah, I think he might be better than Rell.
He's better than Rell.
He's going to react very negatively if you open an umbrella in his direction.
Challenging to do with prosthetics, especially if the eye can rotate.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
that eye...
Just put
there's
the
another thing.
animatics up in the cranial ridge or something like that.
He has a lot going on his forehead because of the bony protrusion, and he's got a very big eye. So I actually think he probably needs a longer cranium in the back for his brain to occupy.
Yeah, actually, if you look at how big his eye is, let me just hide his head here.
Wow. It's a big ol' eye. Yeah.
It's a big old eye, right? So
Well,
yeah,
I guess he might not need such an extremely big skull, because the eye is not, basketball sized.
but a little
big
more.
eye.
A little more. Yeah.
The lobes of the brain might be almost separated or sort of flatter or wider.
Also, you might have to process visual information differently.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this on the show before. I also don't have depth perception because of a structural or developmental issue known as stereo blindness, where everything looks to me as it would. Like the way your screen looks to you is the way the world looks to me. I just don't perceive that depth. Theoretically, if I lost an eye, and actually when I do close an eye, it doesn't change my ability to perceive depth at all. So I sort of have Cyclops vision all the time.
I may or may not have that too.
Can you use
Do you?
VR?
What? Can I use VR? Yes. But the world seems a lot more 3D when I'm using VR.
Interesting. When I use VR, it just looks like I'm wearing a stupid expensive TV on my head. And despite working in VR for years, I never got what the thing was. Like I would make VR experiences and they would work because if it looks normal to me, it will also look normal to a person with normal vision. But I always just thought, like, what a dumb piece of technology. It's just a wearable television. Who the fuck wants that?
Yeah, the universe feels more three-dimensional when I'm looking at things in VR than with my regular eyes.
Well, what's weird about Alex is when he looks at the offset of a 3D image, his brain puts it together as one image.
I undo it. My brain puts it back the way that it was before.
Yeah.
So, like, the original 3DS I couldn't use. When I turned up the 3D slider on it, it would become visually incomprehensible. The later model had better sort of, I don't know if it had pupillary tracking or if it was just better calibrated. And when I turned it up, it would just become normal. It was the do nothing slider. Because it became sort of close enough to reality that my brain would just be like, oh yeah, that's a normal image. And it would just undo the 3D effect and put it back flat again. Rell could not use a VR headset.
No.
How sad.
That would be an ableist piece of technology.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he could use a headset that just would be like having a screen that just was a wraparound or something, you know?
He'd have to pick an eye. He would just have to pick one of the lenses to look at.
Well,
or, like,
I mean, if there was Cyclops VR, then, you know, it wouldn't have two lenses, you know, just like...
There's two ways around this for a Cyclops, both of which are, like, just as a warning, pretty bad. One is two pupils on one eyeball. It would do the trick. Like your phone camera. When your phone can take 3D images, it's got two lenses right side by side, or three like mine has. So just have a little like cluster of pupils on one eyeball. It's one nasty way to do it.
Goat eye.
Another way I could get depth perception is by constantly darting back and forth. just a constant back and forth twitch. Like just like kind of like like the way the sort of the ray in a CRT TV traces an image. Just the eye kind of like...
Yeah.
How does that even work, though? Because doesn't the point of origin have to be shifted to do that?
Well,
I think it wouldn't be as good as an eye. I don't think it would be as good as binocular vision. But potentially the Cyclops brain could sort of adjust for like the angle.
The Cyclops can only see in 30 frames a second, but eye starts at like 60 frames, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. It wouldn't be an ideal solution, but it would be a potential sort of like if the Cyclops, for whatever reason, never developed binocular vision, but then later, as it sort of got more protein in its diet and it switched from a gatherer to more of a hunter, it suddenly became important to have that depth perception. And so, because it was too hard to evolve a second eye out of fucking nowhere, it just evolved the ability to dart the eye backward and forward. Or like, even like, if the lens of the eye can like slightly articulate side to side. So like the larger sphere of the eye rotates this way and then the lens rotates this way. And so that way it's like having two eyes because it's... Yeah.
Ooh.
Sorry, I did say they were horrible. Like, these are horrible options.
I prefer the two pupils, one eyeball. I think that'd be a nice neat
Really?
way to do it. Yeah.
Two pupils, one eyeball is one of the worst things that I can think of.
It's nice and
Let's
neat.
do it.
It's nice and neat, you know.
Yeah,
I almost don't want to see.
like a
almost
like
don't
a
wanna
goat
see that.
eye where it's got sort of that
Yeah.
hourglass thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Deeply wrong.
Here we go. Oh man, this is.
I'm
gonna be
tensing up
gross.
already.
Yeah. All right.
Here we go.
Here we go. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I was picturing two separate irises.
Yeah, so was I.
We could do-
Ultimately.
With the one sclera.
We could do that too. I mean, why not? Yeah.
Oh, they're not side by side.
Nice.
That's almost better to me. That's almost less gross that they're not side by side.
Yeah. Oh. Ooh.
It's not great. It's
No,
not
but it's
great.
great. It is kind of great, but not. Does it rotate? What does it do?
Yeah, I guess it would.
I would love if it rotated in the socket.
I guess it's just.
Like nothing rotates.
Well,
That's another thing that I love about this.
An owl's ears are not symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
One is down lower, and it helps with their sort of ability to triangulate the origins of sounds, that their ears are not symmetrical. So there might be something to having pupils in your eye that are at like two different angles.
It's great.
Right?
Honestly,
Like maybe that's...
I know it makes them way less relatable, but honestly, I think the eye should probably just be one big ocular, 180 degree.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably the way to go.
They've got like
honestly.
mad periphery, or like a compound eye, like a bug.
Yeah. Let me merge that down, see what it looks like. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. I started to give him hair, but we'll see.
Just give him Rell's hair.
But anyway, yeah. Rell has hair. That's the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
A good solution to the problem of Rell's hair is no hair. Julia pitched it herself earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Wear a beanie if his head gets cold. A hoodie.
We have hair because we evolved from hairier animals. There's some like theoretical reasons why we maintained hair in the places where we maintained it as thick as it is. But a lot of it we don't have. A lot of our baldness is, again, a neotenous characteristic. Fetuses don't have hair, so mostly we don't either. But Cyclopses didn't necessarily evolve from apes. Mm-hmm. They didn't. Like chimpanzees have two eyes, so we probably don't share a common ancestor with the Cyclops.
No, but
It goes all the way back to the mollusk or something like that.
They're from an alien planet.
Mm-hmm.
Do all creatures on the Cyclops... Well, no. In Rell's case, they used to have two eyes and they have one. This Cyclops, though, seems to be more designed by evolution rather than by an evil genie curse. So in this version, where Rell is natively a Cyclops. Like, there was no evil pact with the beast. They just always had one eye. This version of Rell, do all creatures have one eye on that planet?
So what I think that the Cyclops story that they lost their eye is bullshit.
Just a justification.
Like Groomsh in D&D canon.
Yeah, I think it might be a religious thing.
I think most of the animals on Rell's planet would be sightless, and the reason they were able to evolve into their particular niche is that they had the advantage of sight.
They're the dominant species because nothing evolved dual eyes.
There is no depth perception on their planet. No animal has it. So just in being able to see flatly at all
is an advantage. Yeah.
I was wondering what sort of evolution would allow that to be the dominant species, or would cause something to not evolve stereo vision, you know?
It would be hard for life to evolve that way because photosensitivity is a really early component of life on our planet.
You could have photosensitive receptors, but maybe not eyes, maybe not actual eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
So like other species have like eye spots or rudimentary like light sensitivity, but they never developed an eye in the same way that the Cyclops did.
Yeah.
You and I and our dear viewers at home are predominantly deuterostomes in that when we develop as an embryo, we are a what do you call it? A blasto something or other, a little pocket of cells. We start off as a blastocyst. Yeah, we develop as a little pocket of cells, and then we develop an opening, and because for us that opening eventually becomes our anus, we're deuterostomes. And if that opening eventually becomes a mouth, it's protostomes. And like that's about as far on the evolutionary tree as you get. You can actually see in the development of the fetus a commonality to your ancestry, because a fetal chicken and a fetal human don't look that too different at one point in their development. Not so with protostomes and deuterostomes, because we differentiate all the way back at that level. So basically our last common ancestor to protostomes are all the way back at the barely multicellular level, like amoebas and shit like that. So your protostomes, like spiders and arthropods and other forms of monster like that, they don't generally have two eyes. It's not that none of them do, but they'll have like compound eyes or many eyes like a spider or something like that. And I think most deuterostomes have two or fewer eyes, basically. Like your salps and your like tunicates and things like that are technically deuterostomes like us. They have no eyes to speak of at all. But mollusks and protostomes like that may have like rings of eyes around their mantles and things like that.
Yeah.
All of which is to say, you got to go pretty far back. Like set aside not mutually evolving from apes, you got to go so far back to have only one eye.
I mean, you can though. Like that's a thing.
Oh yeah. If you roll it all the way back to you know what it is? There's a third one. He's a tertiostome. And what differentiates a tertiostome is that first opening is an eye. You got your protostomes and your deuterostomes, where it's the mouth or the anus, and then the tertiostome, where that first opening is the eyeball. There we go. Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Merry Krullmas, everyone.
The only sighted embryo in the animal kingdom.
Anuses and eyeballs.
You could see it all happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty much, I could keep going on this guy, but,
There it is.
He's He's pretty close to being ready to.
He's downright likable.
A scientifically viable Cyclops.
Giving him different musculature and
Yeah.
you know.
Just having some fun.
Incredible.
Do you think this Cyclops has 2 lobes to his brain or 1?
I think 2.
I think 2 as well, because I'm trying to imagine what the rest of his body looks like, and I'm assuming everything else is like humans, kind of.
Got kind of 2 of
General
everything.
axis of symmetry down the middle.
And for whatever reason, he just didn't here, but everything else. Unless he has like 1 nipple in the center of his chest or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, does Cyclops have 1 boob?
I think he's got 2 of everything, just sort of 1 eye, which takes care of everything.
Yeah, if it's the eye that is singular and only the eye, then does that mean that Cyclopses have a forked penis like an echidna?
See, I think it would be funny if he had 1 or 2 of the opposite of what we have. Like if he had 1 nipple and then 2 penises and 2 belly buttons, and I think it'd be fantastic.
So to him, to him, in a way, we are the Cyclopses for only having the 1.
Yeah.
You have 1 belly button in the middle? That's horrific. How do you get by with only 1 anus?
Yeah, like I think.
So that means stuff went in and out from the same
that's disgusting.
tube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we should have 2 belly buttons. 1 for waste and 1 for food, right?
One for in, one for out.
I love it.
Like the water valve and the sump valve on the bottom of an airplane.
Yeah.
It totally makes more sense. I can see that would be a very interesting conversation to have, in fact.
Wow.
It all circles back around to the plane butthole. Merry Krullmas, everyone. Happy KRULLCEMBER.
Merry Krullmas. You guys, I hope that wasn't too... I hope that was fine.
I hope that was fine. Merry Krullmas.
Merry Krullmas. It was incredible.
May your Krullmases
Rell
be fine.
Rell bless us one and all.
If we do another one of these next week, which I think we will, right? You guys going to be around next week?
Oh, yeah.
Boxing Day is... Oh, no, that's... Oh, my God. I'm getting my weeks mixed up. I'll be around.
Little early.
Thank goodness. Hold on. Let's see next week. Yeah, it'll be fine. I thought it was fine. Krullmas. Let's do it.
Okay. We'll answer some questions for Krull.
Excellent.
If any of you are feeling ambitious, go ahead and give us your Rell makeovers.
Or blowdowns.
Questions for Krull.
Feel free to glow and or dim Rell up or down.
Precisely.
Thank you. Do you like my
If you feel confident that you can make Rell worse, show us your worst Rell.
Yeah.
Nice.
Show us your worst Rell.
Or you can yassify them, as the kids say, if you want. They don't say that anymore? I'm sorry.
They do.
I'm so embarrassed. Oh, okay.
I just don't want to see I don't want to see a yassify. Well, yes, I do.
You want to just run a couple of shots of Krull through that face app thing, double man Krull and Lady Krull, or not Krull, Rell.
Oh wait,
I should feed Rell into Merlin Bird ID and see what kind of bird he is.
Oh yeah, I was a Virginia rail. I forgot to put that down. She's a very stupid looking bird. I'm not happy. But...
Julie was so disappointed by the birds that she got.
I was. Every single bird had a tiny little head and a big fat bottom. I was not happy.
The rail is the most flightless looking of the flighted birds.
Yeah, it looks super clueless. Then these guys got bald eagles.
You got the ruffed quail, I think it was.
I'm so sorry. I got the bald eagle and I was shocked. Shocked.
Uh-huh.
I was curious. I couldn't understand why I got long-eared owl and ruby-throated hummingbird, but it's because I got brundlefly because I had a nuthatch perched on my shoulder. I don't think that got mentioned in the episode, but yeah, that's why I got those 2 options. Is that there was a little bird on my shoulder, and the Merlin Bird ID brundleflied us into a variety of options.
I want to show you guys this.
Oh no.
This guy, he doesn't have. I was just talking about Cyclopses. I gave him a central third eye.
Mm-hmm.
How does that even
I love it.
Oh, he's so good.
How does that
Yeah,
even
like
work?
I think that's a great answer, especially where it's this alien creature that was not originally a Cyclops. That its one remaining eye is not where either of the original two.
What is the
Yeah.
thing on the eyeball? The little ball on the eyeball.
That's like it's a fake highlight.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
It's a fake little highlight.
This is incredible, Matt.
Or the secondary lens for depth perception.
Or hey, you never know.
He looks like a cauliflower.
I love his facial
So good.
expression a
It's
lot.
incredible.
I don't know what he is.
Also, the sort of the structure, the claw that's sort of holding his meaty face. That's very much the Beast's vibe.
Yeah, right. This is the new Beast. There you go. Gross. It doesn't work.
This was just like
I love him.
for the love of it, Matt. Was there for anything in particular?
No, this was the first thing I did on the iPad.
Oh my
version of
God.
ZBrush. I
Incredible.
wanted to try it out.
It happens to be a good answer to the design a better Cyclops prompt.
Yeah, weirdly, right? Look at him.
He's
So-
so
so
good. You guys are
adorable.
awesome. You're so talented.
Hey, you are too. All right, there you go. Hey guys, listen. Wait, I gotta turn this off. I don't want you to see him. I want you to look at me. I stick and stay, and I hope we're back next week.
If you're very good, we'll be back next week. And if we're not back next week, know that it's because you weren't good enough.
Yeah, I actually think we've got one more KRULLCEMBER show in us.
Yeah.
For the month, so
Not sure which one
We're
we're
gonna
gonna do, but we have a couple of options ahead of us. Maybe we'll record two and next time, and then we'll have one that I can queue up while I'm away on vacation.
Sweet.
we'll see. Probably not, but
We'll see what happens. We will absolutely see what happens. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Happy Krullmas.
I'm so checked out.
KRULLCEMBER.
Happy Krullmas.
Have a fine one.
A fine Krullmas to one and all.
The finest of Krullmases.
The most convivial of all possible KRULLCEMBERs.
Love it.
Have yourselves a future, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Stick and stay.